Mousesports, turn to pick. Ten seconds remaining.
Shadow Demon.
In my armor.
First blood stains the banners!
30 seconds to battle. The battle begins.
Loaded to the gills!
out!
Denied!
No!
Incoming! Jackpot!
Haste!
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I think it's the right. Can't go to the cannon, so can't push for.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified.
It would have very.
Dire's bottom tower has been
As they
denied.
start down, shit, easy stuff. And get that game, but if that
All I do,
just
I do in her name.
wait,
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
getting that much anyway. Down for tier 2 defense there, and will be able to experience, which is critical for. Just a glimpse. If I'm. There for the kill. Highlight icon. Tree enabled. Gape. Hit your TC. Get in his face. Get his aggressive.
Bastard.
My shadow sweeps over you.
Top lane. Jam is right here. Edge of the moment. Link to us. Pull up. This point in time, too. We should TP. Good enough. Air one's in just 50 HP.
Still got it.
Get away. Kill there on that. That's the thing. Gotta get tricked. Okay, if I don't go for... that can kite him so easily, and both supports making their rotation up there. He has to be a little bit more careful in that scenario. I guess he doesn't lose too much though, as he's a low enough level, but the more important thing is that he just gives up a little bit of experience and a little bit of gold to both supports as well. Right. Yeah, and another big factor would be the phase boots picked up by the gyrocopter. Do you think that's the right play here for Era in this game, or would you prefer to see treads? If you're kind of putting him one-on-one against the clockwork, you need some way to get aggressive on the clockwork, so I think it's perfectly fine for him to go for this build. Okay. Like, the amount of damage that it allows you to put out on top of the chase ability after the rocket barrage, I think is perfectly fine. See Black's Naga Siren doing what Naga Sirens do in the middle, which is push out the lane with their illusions and also farm up the neutrals at the same time, getting that benefit of extra CS. As you can see on the scoreboard, 60 and 7 taking that first place position. Black definitely abusing the mid Naga Siren as best as possible. TC second place there, 50 and 18, getting into not a lot of denies here in this bottom lane. Having taken that one tower, and if they leave him for too long, he will take that tier 2 as well.
Dyer's
we have to be careful about losing this bottom
attack.
tower out, but they are rotating a hero down. What they're trying to do right now is just get Jonas and Fan farmed as possible, because they realize without a Blink Dagger, he's not really going to provide too much utility, and he's kind of their only reliable way of initiating until the puck gets a Blink Dagger, and the puck isn't too near his Blink Dagger on top of that, because he's got the treads first, and so the game kind of just stalls out a little bit longer for NiP. Do you agree with the treads? I mean, I kind of feel like the Blink Dagger first was such a necessity for Ninjas and Pyjamas to be aggressive that I think that stalling up for treads is not really worth it, but... I think if you're against the type of lineup that Mouz has, I think you have to go for a little bit more health, which is why he's opted to go for... He's keeping his treads on the strength because he realizes if he gets caught out by the Skyrock Mage and he's only got 600 HP, he's probably going to die. Yeah. But with 900, it's only... is it 4 seconds? At level 1, it's 3 seconds at level 1, yeah. So he's probably going to be able to survive that. 3-man smoke here behind Bulba. Mousesports try and put a pick off here. Looks like they're going to be able to find it too. Era farming up the neutral. It's going to be caught by the disruption. Full of split earth, and Era gets blown up by 4. Big kill there on the carry of Ninjas and Pyjamas, and a successful smoke game for Mousesports. Yeah, and Hans can TP'd in, but he doesn't have his ultimate, so there's no real opportunity. And a ward and a sentry are laid down here, so they will spot the rotation from Seal. They have to be really careful, but teams have pretty good vision. Nice glimpse. Bulba actually going to be pushed back here. Doesn't have his level 6, so he's going to be caught by the coil of the orb. And the rest of Mousesports know that there's no way in saving their ally, so they just leave him behind. So in the end, yes, they ended up getting a pick off on the gyrocopter, but they didn't manage to actually continue the aggression to take down the tier 1 tower, anything big like that. It feels like, yes, they got the best possible kill they could, but at the same time, they didn't manage to transition it into anything important. And Jonas and Fan is picking up a lot more farm than Bulba is. 41 CS for him is 17 on the way of Bulba, and the big thing for Bulba right now is that Pyjamas has to get his level 6 at a reasonable time. I mean, Bulba himself hasn't picked up a level 6 either, but once both of them do, even though they are a little bit under leveled, they still have the kill potential to go for kills around the map on pretty much anyone. Like, Era doesn't really have too much farm. He opts to go for the Helm of Dawn build, which I think will mean he's just going to stack up the Ancients. Yep. But it does mean that he is susceptible to these ganks.
Yeah, not quite as... I mean, he's still sitting at 777 HP. The nuke ganks. I mean, especially with the Clockwork, but then the Clockwork combined with the Skywrath Mage as well. I mean, there's just so much magic damage there that not going for stats is a bit surprising for me. That means Ninjas in Pyjamas really need to do a good job protecting him, whether that's getting a laning ward or maybe even putting a lot of aggression to Mousesports on the bottom side of the map, just to make sure that the Gyrocopter feels a little bit more clear. You can see right now, they are going for their first dual gank. Here's Pilot Eye going to be slowed down. Actually gets the silence on YotaSapon, which is a big play here. YotaSapon really wants that dual damage, but it's unable to claim it as they don't want to hang around that 2-1 tower too much. Top lane, Arrow actually gets out the ultimate, and it's going to do a decent amount of damage. Bulma might be able to get the return kill, but oh, so close. Bulma survives with just 30 HP. Oh no, not even the Disruptor could finish him off there. Glimpse back will be able to catch TC. A big kill here as they're going to be able to take him out, and YotaSapon coming in from the side is going to be able to clean up one and a second kill. Gets off the duel, the Shadow Demon falls as well. Ninjas in Pyjamas, big rotations out from Limp and YotaSapon, making, I think that's got to be on Arrow, right? Being able to get off the ultimate, survive for so long, and deal so much damage, sets up its allies to make the rotation, just clean up that top lane.
And that was a fantastic move by Hanskin as well. If you notice, he wasn't in position to glimpse Bulba, but he actually opts to go for the Leshrac because he realizes it's a bigger kill. Because if you kill the Leshrac there, you lost your carry, yes, but you're going to get 2 kills in return, so it's okay. But Bulba going for a kill right now.
Yeah, that's the good from YotaSapon with combination of the Skywrath Mage, easily being able to get that kill. At the same time, though, Arrow was able to push back Black and get the deny on that tier 1 tower, so it's not even like that top fight resulted in anything really big for Black. If he'd claimed the tier 1 tower, he would have actually been super close to his relic, but as it is, still another 600 gold away.
Yeah, he's been playing this entirely safe, though. The entire time, like, he's just been farming out the jungle where he can, pulls back as soon as he can, so the Radiance isn't as fast, but this is a really safe Radiance. I think that's what he means, like 0-0-0 with 100 CS at 12 minutes, he's going to be really satisfied with it, and if he manages to pick up a Radiance, I'd say even around the 16-17 minute mark, things are going to get really tricky for NiP, because their timing still isn't ready. Like, the Puck just managed to pick up a Blink Dagger, you don't really have any items on Arrow though, so getting into 5-on-5 engagements isn't ideal, and you don't have a Blink Dagger on YotaSapon just yet. Like, you're so reliant right now on Limp.
Yeah, I think this is one of the big reasons I really like the aggressive uses of smoke at this, like, 10-minute marker for Ninjas in Pyjamas, because it's about a time where your offlaner needs to start having an impact, but of course a Legion Commander isn't going to have his Blink Dagger yet, so they need to be able to have something to help them get the jumps. Unfortunately, this is not the play. In fact, Black's going to be able to get off a really good sleep here, and the rest of Mouz are just going to line up for free kills, potentially. Bulma already setting up on YotaSapon. Can they get Hanskin as well? YotaSapon sounds up and quickly bursts down. Hanskin trying to make some sort of way out here, going for the TP, but will be caught by the disruption, and he will be a secondary kill. Throws out the silence, but of course there's not much unless he wants to be able to make a dive here. Jumps in, goes for Black, actually gets the 2-man coil, leaves Black alone while Arrow comes in. He gets off the 2-man ultimate, and will be able to follow up on the kill onto TC. So an aggressive gank there from Ninjas in Pyjamas that starts out a little awkward, ends up being recovered there by the rest of Ninjas in Pyjamas, being able to make the rotations in time to get a kill on the Leshrac and Shadow Demon.
Still, that could have been even worse for Mouz because Black manages to get out of there at the last second. Does cancel his TP, realizing that it's going to be a little bit too forward to TP into the middle of all those heroes. He doesn't have his sleep up at the same time. But he's going to get his relic any moment now. 100 gold away from that. Should be able to just sell one item, pick it up. And he's headed to this top lane at the same time to farm. And he realizes that NiP don't have all of their ultimates up quite yet. The Puck ult is down to 40 seconds, as is the Disruptor one. So he's going to pick up his relic and head to this top lane right now.
That Radiance timing being so critical for Mousesports. At the same time, we do have that 2-man gank squad, Bulba and Pilot Eye, looking for a pick-off with the 2-man smoke. And if they can catch the Legion Commander, they'll be pretty happy with themselves. Leading in, easy hook shot into YotaSapon. The ultimate goes down, and a free kill, and should be able to get out here. Pilot Eye actually needs to be able to make a TP out. Lim does not have any sort of stun, but they do have the damage necessary to be able to get the kill anyway with the glimpse. Stop in the TP as well, so 1-for-1 trade-off. Still though, the offlaner for support not too terrible for Mousesports.
Yeah, they're really satisfied with that, and this is what I was talking about early on with the draft, is that you're just trying to use that dual combination. Even if they die or trade 1 for 1, it's just creating more time for Black, because it means that the Legion can't go hunt for the Naga Siren, and I think that's the key here, is that you're just trying to create as much time as you can for Black to get his Radiance at a reasonable moment, and NiP don't have anything that can really stop the Naga illusions. They don't have a mechanism, no pipe, so the burst damage that she inflicts on your supports especially is going to be pretty brutal.
Now, we're going to be seeing a Blade Mail pickup for our Legion Commander instead of going straight for that Blink Dagger. Bit more reflected damage. This means Jonas and Fan will be more powerful in team fights potentially, with all that damage being bounced back to Mousesports, but not initiation-wise. Now, Ninja Pyjamas still have the pucks to be able to rely on for initiation, and I guess to a certain extent the Disruptor as well. Do you agree with the Blade Mail?
I think the Blade Mail is okay. I would still like to see a Blink Dagger as a follow-up. I guess he trusts the initiation of Limp plus the Disruptor.
Right.
But I never think that, you know, more so, what was I going to say? More initiation never hurts you, really. Especially on a hero like Legion, where you want to be able to be the first one in, blink in, get the duel off. But I guess if he doesn't have this much farm, it's okay.
And a pick off on Jonas and Fan. They drop the Skyrim Mage ultimate, get the quick kill. Bulba now on his way up, but Limp says hello. Blink Dagger in, gonna be able to finish off 1 and go for 2. He's got the coil and waiting out Seal Kid. Double TPs, but Seal Kid is gonna stop one of these as the stun goes on a Pylai die, and they will claim another pick off there. Again, Mousesports trying to create space by being aggressive, but every single time they do end up giving away kills at the same.
Bottom tower is under attack.
You're okay with that, though, because yes, you do lose 2 heroes, but it's that combination again, that Skywrath Clockwork. They're just meant to get a kill. I think if they die, they're okay with it, because again, Black just manages to pick up his Radiance, and you don't really have the best answer to that if you're NiP, because you're not winning the early game hard enough to kind of just snowball and go from tower to tower. And now that Black has this Radiance, I mean, now there's a little bit of a timer on NiP, because Era just doesn't really have the farm to compete. Like, he does have some ancient stacks, but it's not large enough. And on top of that, they've got vision of this the entire time, and they're going to kind of know where he's at in terms of farm. And him straight going for the BKB here, I think, is the right idea, and it does signify that they want to get aggressive on the map.
It just means he's going to be lacking in damage, right? To be able to quickly threaten the Mousesports heroes like the BKB, he's just going to have to be in the position to utilize that BKB, the Rocket Barrage combination, to be able to dish out his damage rather than relying on his flat cannon as much, seeing as he is going to be a little bit low. Now, Black's going to find himself a batting ruined here. He's already pushing out that middle lane as much as possible. At the top lane, you see TC is actually getting a good amount of farm. Player name that we haven't actually said too many times in this game, solely because he hasn't been a part of the combat too much. We talked about creating space for Black, but this has also resulted in space for TC as well, as he's been able to farm up a Bloodstone by 18 minutes.
Yeah, but until he gets a BKB, I think NiP are okay with dealing with him, because they do have enough magic damage and enough magic burst. Again, I think the main issue that they're going to run into right now is the fact that they haven't been able to pressure Black at all, and he just continues to farm out the jungle, and they should be aware now that the Radiance is online for him. As Era catches one illusion into the jungle, and Black, I mean, he just does what he does, farms the enemy jungle at the exact same time, and just limits the amount of space that Era will have at the same time.
Yule Scepter now picked up by our puck. Pretty necessary against that Skywrath Mage. The silence is one of the biggest threats to Limp, so he can now use that off of himself and just makes the puck incredibly hard to kill through both Phase Shift, which is almost maxed out, the Blink Dagger, and the Yule's Way 2. Pushing forward in this top lane, he does have some backup from TC, but Limp is not actually trying to be too aggressive just yet. Meanwhile, our 2 supports who are actually in the bottom lane trying to go into the enemy jungle here and threaten some of the warding being done are not able to find anything. Limp down the top lane, thinking about jumping here. It's going to be able to get the silence. 2-man coil as well, goes for TC, but realizes nice Yule Scepter to be able to stop that TP out, and TC will be caught inside the kinetic field and taken out. The suicide is forced out from him.
Yeah, that's the problem right now for TC, is that yes, you've got a Bloodstone and you've got a decent amount of HP, but there's still enough magic burst damage from NiP to take you down. It's really, again, it all comes down to Black right now, where he has his boots of travel, he's got a Radiance at 20 minutes into the game. You're incredibly satisfied if you're Mousesports right now, because you're not actually that far behind in terms of farm. Like, it's only 1k in terms of difference, and Naga is meant to be pressured early, right? Like, you typically expect this hero to have a little bit of a rough phase where she struggles to get a Radiance, and then you're kind of fighting against the clock, but Black's had pretty much uncontested farm this entire game, and a 1K difference in terms of net worth doesn't mean too much because the Naga Siren will farm 4 places at the same time.
Jonas some fun. Thought he was going to go for the duel. In fact, he still might. Decides against it. Doesn't really know where the rest of the Radiant side is, particularly since they're taking down that tier 2 tower and no one is responding. It's a bit of a question mark where Mousesports are. And the truth is, they're just playing very defensively, making sure that Black is able to get his farm in the jungle. Pyjamas gently pushing out this bottom lane, which is going to be recovered by Jonas now. But generally speaking, trying to stay grouped up, really knowing exactly what you keep on saying is that Black's farm is paramount here. It's the only thing that really matters for Mousesports.
Yeah, it's just hold on, try to create space. They've done a good job of that right now. I know the score doesn't really reflect it. If you look at it, you're like, okay, it's 9-14, NiP are in control, but you can't really discount the Naga at any point in the game, and I know it seems like I'm making a big deal of it, but that's because that's the main focus of Mouse's strategy right now. It's to try to get this Naga online as fast as you can, so that you can participate in fights early if necessary, but you just want to split push with her if the option is given to you. And Era's picking up quite a little bit of farm, though. He does have a BKB. He looks like he's going for the Yasha next, which I'd imagine leads into the S and Y to just give him a little bit more maneuverability, but that's still not too much raw damage. And Jonas on top of that is really poor right now. Doesn't have too much on top of his blade mail, only 800 gold, and so pretty even game so far.
Alright, the push into the middle tier 1 towers. Ninjas of Pyjamas not going to be contested 1 iota. The Mousesports pretty much focusing on split pushing. You can see Black taking that top lane and trying to take the tier 1 tower in the process. Though Hanskin has actually hit himself very nicely. The illusion that went to scout out heroes is did not actually see Hanskin. And he may be in a position to be able to stop Black here if only he knew where Black was hiding. The kinetic field could have spotted him out. Black will actually make the full TP away and be successful at it. Meanwhile, Bulba is actually going to go for Era here in this bottom lane. Now, he does have the BKB, so this makes it a lot more questionable. But if they can get the chain stun of the hook shot into the split earth, they will be able to get this kill nonetheless. There it is, lead in, hook shot, BKB goes off, and Era's now going to be able to turn this one. Bulba tries to go for the quick TP out, but does not manage to make it. He ends up going down, and Era, a good use of that first BKB charge for sure.
That was so optimistic though, because you have to assume that Era's just spamming the crap out of that button, and they almost have to land the stun simultaneously. Yeah. And even then, I don't know if they have the physical damage to take him down, because even if he's at 600 HP, he should be able to just turn it around, right? Like, he's got lifesteal, he's got the rocket barrage going off at the same time. Bulba doesn't have anything to be able to stop that, and so going for that gank attempt just kind of seemed a little bit unnecessary.
And as a result, Ninjas of Pyjamas will take the tier 1 tower at the bottom lane for free. Middle lane, though, Jonas actually being chased by TC and Pyjamas, and Jonas hoping to be able to get some sort of return kill on the Skywrath Mage through that blade mail is unsuccessful in his attempts. 10-15 now, 23.5 minutes in. Take a look at that scoreboard. We got a net worth lead of Ninjas of Pyjamas, about 2,500 gold. Oh, top lane, Ogre Magi actually goes down, chased away by Way2 and Black. Now 11-15 to the favor of NiP. Same goes with the scoreboard, but as we said, this Naga Siren is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, and it looked like they wanted to defend that top tower. I can't imagine why Seal Kid would have TP'd otherwise. Like, he probably thought he was going to get some sort of backup, and so it looks a little bit clowny, but it might have been a call like, hey, can anyone TP top, and it might have just been a minor misunderstanding. But at bottom lane, Hanskin has to be so careful.
Yeah, Hanskin is very, very, very much dead. He goes for the glimpse play, but the Skywrath Mage nuke is still going to be enough to take him out. Again, seems like a rather optimistic play, this time from NiP, to try and push out that bottom lane with only a disruptor at hand.
Yeah, TC is going to go for the BKB, like I imagined. He just doesn't take enough with the Bloodstone alone.
Yeah, there's really not many other options for him, right? You have to have a BKB against all this magic damage and control.
Exactly, and once he gets a BKB, he should be able to be the frontline tank that they need. And again, Black continues to go uncontested, does pick up a kill at that top lane, right? He's got a Yasha that should be a Manta style at a pretty reasonable time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Ninjas of Pyjamas need to make a move here in the next few minutes if they hope to be able to take down the rest of these tier 2s and start corralling Mousesports into their own base. Of course, they're still going to have the Naga Siren split push to deal with, but TC spotted out here by Era. Seal Kid not quite close enough. The slow is just barely going to land on TC, but he got himself around the trees, and Ninja's Pyjamas do not want to try and pursue that one. So perhaps another missed opportunity for NiP, as Mousesports pretty happy with the way this game is looking, I would say. I mean, they've got 15,000 net worth on their Naga Siren. They've got pretty good map control at this point in time, with top lane not only being pushed out, but the jungle being taken away from NiP quite heavily. There's still no Blink Dagger on Yoda-Safan, so not a big fear of the Naga Siren getting caught out too often. And once that Leshrac has the BKB, I mean, that's now a second core that's going to be a critical factor. As you said, the Bloodstone by itself is not going to mean that much to NiP, but when it's combined with the BKB, Leshrac will become a monster in these fights.
Yeah, and we already start to see, I think the gold lead is going the favor now of Mousesports. It's not huge, but it is there.
Long range glimpse there. Pyjamas actually has a Glimmer Cave, so he'll be able to survive for a little bit longer. Py, it runs out of the silence, does manage to get his silence onto Seal Kid here, but they see him and should be able to run him down. The glimpse is coming up in another 2 seconds. Also slow down.
He's got Glimmer Cave back up again, though.
Yeah, he'll be able to survive a little bit longer. The TP out. Oh, God, he's actually going to make it. Pyjamas, clutch play there. It's a lack of vision from NiP. Cost him an early kill, and might just lead to another death. Yoda-Safan dodged the hook, but can't dodge the Purge, and will actually survive thanks to press the attack just barely. Oh man, that Purge almost finished him off, but lived. About 50 HP, Era, push back, Bulba, good cogs, but unfortunately the coil will stop that TP out, and oh, the Blade Mail almost got the kill into limp there, but another kill for Era. Still managed to keep the Naga Siren alive is the important part, and continues to farm that one up. I mean, Ninja's Pyjamas, they get a kill, but look how low they are. Half of them have to back up, and the other half have to deal with the top lane push and the middle lane push.
Yeah, they're just being assaulted from all fronts, and Bulba seems to be the sacrificial lamb this game for Mousesports, as he continues to look for opportunities around the map, unable to do so though. 1-7 and 7, the majority of the kills when they went for it going the way of Pyjamas. But I mean, Mouz continue to slow down the pace of the game. They seem pretty satisfied with kind of exchanging 1 or 2 kills here and there. The XP advantage is in favor of NiP, no surprise there, because the Naga doesn't really get too much XP from split pushing like she does.
Right.
But the gold advantage is the more telling factor right now, as it starts to climb up to 2K.
There's the Blink Dagger for Yoda-Safan. We'll see how much of a difference this one really makes, though. They've only gotten 1 successful duel out of this Legion Commander so far, and for 28 minutes into this game, you would say that's a rather unsuccessful Legion Commander game so far. Hopefully the Blink Dagger changes things up for him, but as I say that, there's the BKB for the Leshrac. That obviously is going to make a big difference as well. It means you no longer have to fear the Blade Mail of the Legion Commander. You also have all that control and magic damage they were talking about from NiP that no longer is a factor for TC. I mean, their only control they have against him at this point in time is going to be that duel, which is a dangerous affair for Yoda-Safan if it's BKB'd up Leshrac.
Yeah, that's not a target that you just want to feed free kill gold to, and at bottom, he is baiting Silk and hoping that only 1 hero rotates down, but it looks like it's going to be the combination again.
And Seal Kid, before Yoda-Safan can even get there, they lose a hero. Now they're still going to go for the pick off on Bulba. Yoda-Safan still has a blink forward. The duel is successful, so they beat away support in order to get the offlaner plus the duel damage. If they get more, it might have been worth it, but just a 1-for-1 trade-off again. Space has been created, and the Naga Siren taking full advantage of it. It's going to be joined by TC now, as they're going to try and push down this tier 2 tower. Looks to be successful. NiP have no TP rotations for it.
And Hanskin is looking for any opportunities he can, but
nice sleep there from Black. Very good read by him.
Oh, the top tower is getting really low too. Hanskin, that must have been his like 5th denied tower this game. But still, more map control going the way of Mouz.
Yeah, I mean, you would love to be able to... I mean, if they had actually gotten... I think I've watched 3 towers at the very least get denied. It might have been more, but I know the middle tower is denied by Era. We just had the bottom tier 2 denied out by Hanskin.
Both of the bottom
Same goes with the top 2.
Yeah,
okay,
the bottom ones.
So at least 4 of towers have been denied. If you look at this gold lead from Mousesports, just imagine if none of those tower denies had happened, right? This would be Mousesports in a very commanding position for this game. And it's not all about split push right now. I mean, that's the way Mousesports are winning the game, sure. But you're going to see soon enough that Mousesports could actually potentially fight Ninjas of Pyjamas if they really wanted to, thanks to Leshrac now having that BKB jump in the middle lane. Yoda-Safan is going to be caught once again. Boy, this Legion Commander just not working out for NiP this game.
Yeah, and Era manages to pick up a BKB, just kind of preempting the Naga Siren in case she decides to go for the Butterfly, because he's the only real damage dealer on his team, but the Naga Siren's actually going to opt to go for the Octarine Core, which I think is the right decision here, because you just want to continue to split push the lanes out, buy your team a little bit more time, and you have to realize at the same time the Naga Siren, I mean, she's well ahead of schedule in terms of farm, like 384 CS right now for Black, more than 100 every 10 minutes, and almost a fully completed Octarine Core, Boots of Travel, Radiance, and a Manta style at 30 minutes into the game. You're incredibly satisfied right now if you're Mousesports. And he's got a lot of levels to boot, which is typically something you don't see with a lot of Naga Sirens. Like, if you notice, the Gyrocopter does have the higher level, but in terms of net worth, it's pretty significantly in favor of Black right now.
Right. And it feels like this Aegis isn't really going to change much. It may give Ninjas of Pyjamas the confidence to be able to just 5-man into the base and try and force Mouz to defend, but otherwise it's just going to be a split push game now. They will get this Aegis to jump in. Bulba's actually going to be able to potentially kill Limp. The face shift helps him survive for a little bit longer. Bulba will end up bursting down. Limp gets away to the side. Seal Kid run down by TC with the Lightning, who's now trying to get out, but the MKB box, well, it doesn't matter. Still managed to get the kill either way. Now the Glimpse back will be able to get a secondary kill. Pylite die is revealed by the dust there. Top lane though, how's that one going? Yonasapan still defending pretty damn well, as both Way 2 and Black have not really been able to put out that much damage on the tier 3. Yonasapan almost being run down the last Riptide. Oh, he gets it with just the radiant damage. Naga Siren does pick up the kill on the Legion Commander finally. Still, you would say a bit of success there for NiP in that they managed to get the Aegis. If only Yonasapan had survived, that would have just been fully great fight for NiP, and now they actually have the confidence to be able to 5-man in.
Yeah, and again, you see Bulba kind of play the sacrificial role, but I feel like that time was a little bit too aggressive. Like, he has to respect Era's damage at this point. It's not like Bulba is dying and his farm continues to increase so that he can continue to do that. It just becomes even harder for him to go into those scenarios and face check, because there is a 8-second BKB still available on Era, and so him doing that without a Force Staff feels kind of like it's just suicide at this point. And still in favor of NiP for that trade, because they do manage to pick up the Aegis. They get a bunch of kills on top of that, and the Puck, most importantly, picks up an Aghanim Scepter, and so the BKB that you see right now on TC isn't as effective, and the amount of damage that Era manages to put out is really significant. Like, he's got Boots of Travel, 1500 gold, and he does quite a chunk of change in terms of damage.
Yeah, the Boots of Travel is definitely going to be a necessity item, I feel, for multiple heroes on Ninjas of Pyjamas. Whether it's the Gyrocopter, I feel like the Legion Commander is going to need one eventually. The problem is Yonasapan just nowhere close to that amount of farm. Do you think, yeah, even the Puck has got the Boots of Travel as well. Is there any play here to get the advanced Boots of Travel, or is that just simply not necessary?
I don't think it's too necessary right now. I think you need DPS items. You get the Boots of Travel to be able to deal with the Naga in case she goes through the split push, especially since you want to just stack items right now, right? For the Gyrocopter, because of the Aegis slot filled, you can't really go for anything, so the Boots of Travel play just makes sense. And Limp doesn't really need it too much either. Like, maybe as an 8th item, you know, when you've got Refresher and stuff on a Courier, but right now it's not too necessary. But the Courier in middle has to be a little bit careful. Jesus. Limp takes so much damage just from those illusions.
Yeah, he does. He just doesn't have a good way to be able to deal with the illusions anymore. It used to be his nukes would just one-shot some of those illusions. In fact, you see Era. He's now going to TP to the bottom lane where they do get a pick off on Bulba, searching for more. Blink forward, Pylite Eye. Ooh, barely gets out ahead of Seal Kid's attempt to throw out the Fire Blast. But even if they do push down this bottom lane and go for the tier 2, they're going to take some damage on their tier 3 and potentially even their middle tier 2 at the same time. Mousesports are still going to get the better objective trade-off here. If none of NiP are able to play defense, and it doesn't look like really they can. Hunskin going in, maybe you can get some sort of glimpse play here. Black not wanting to reveal which one is the real one just yet. Hunskin trying to deal with these illusions. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Pylite Eye showing himself just slightly. The middle tier 2 does go down. That tier 3 at the top lane takes a small amount of damage. Black going to continue for more here as Illusion push out. In fact, he's going to go for the kill on Hunskin here as the Naga Siren. Illusion might just be able to catch him, but fortunately is able to survive in part thanks to that Glimmer Cape.
Yeah, and something I should have mentioned as well is that the MKB wasn't just in case the Naga decides to go for Radiance or anything like that. It's also because the Radiance now, as you get burned, it does have a miss chance of 17%.
Right.
So it's fairly effective regardless. But again, NiP, they just kind of get ragdolled around as they have to go from top to bottom to top to bottom. And I think they do want to go for 5-man pushes, but they're just so afraid of losing their base right now to this Naga Siren.
Now, what's the best way when you're in this position that you're constantly dealing with the Naga Siren and push? Do you go for some sort of smoke gank and hope to catch out the Naga Siren, or do you just fight like 2 or 3 man, like 2 different lanes, and just leave one lane exposed? Like, what's the best play for NiP at this point? The problem is if you split up, though, the Clockwork plus the Skywrath combination can pick you off quite easily. Right. So you have to be concerned about that at all times. And Black is strong enough right now to kind of 2v1, depending on what set of heroes that he's fighting. So they have to be a little bit careful. I think the play right now is to try to go for a smoke gank in a bottom lane. Bulba's going to go down again, but this doesn't matter too much. Like, he's so underfarmed. Yeah, I was watching Era actually getting pushed back routinely by these illusions. Black just sending one after the other after our carry of Ninjas of Pyjamas, and his lifesteal is just not enough on the creeps to be able to recover from the damage done by the illusions. So even as they do get a pick off in that bottom lane, which is nice, Era wasn't able to keep this top lane pushed out enough, and now they're going to be threatened again for their tier 3 tower and have to sit back. So Era's pretty much sitting at full-time, like, babysitting duty in this top lane. Does have the Boots of Travel level 2 picked up, so he can potentially join his team if they want to go for like a 4-man push at bottom lane, but he did lose that Aegis, so unfortunately they no longer have that extra life advantage. Yeah, surprised a little bit to see the Booster Travel pick up that early, but maybe he just wants to be able to kind of bomb in with the puck at the same time. That would be pretty neat. Oh, he's going to be caught out here, easily held, pops a BKB, throws down the ultimate, trying to fight Black, might actually be able to win it too. Black forced to use the Manta, being run down by Era, the last right clicks and he gets him. Era now able to get out a huge kill there as Era. Limp's chasing. Oh, Limp is going to be able to get some heroes catched out here as the Yule Scepter onto Pylai Die. Wave 2 will be successful in getting out. Limp, bit surprised there he didn't try and use that Dream Coil for the extra kill, but a huge fight for them, particularly since Era, he's still got the Boots of Travel up. He can TP down to that bottom lane and put pressure on the tier 3 tower, potentially forcing out the buyback. As you can see, he's already here. They're going to jump on the ball. Perfect timing. 16 to 24. This might just be NiP's opportunity to go uphill, catching out Wave 2 and Bulb at the same time. And here it is, a 4-man march uphill. Ninjas of Pyjamas have been stuck playing defense for so long, but one mistake from Mouz, and the blood is in the water. Ninjas of Pyjamas smell it. They're going to try and take advantage of the situation, pushing on that tier 3 tower, but the illusions are just so tough to deal with. Yeah, there's still 3 heroes down though, so I think NiP go for this. The more surprising thing right there is that I think the Naga had the sleep, but opted not to use it. And if she doesn't have the sleep, why attempt to go for Era? Like, you don't actually put out too much physical damage, and Era is just an absolute beast right now in terms of how much he actually does, and he does have his BKB up, and they are kind of chasing him out. And this might mean the end of the push, but you're still really satisfied if you're NiP with what you got there. Yeah, absolutely. You get enough pick off on the Naga Siren in the next 5 minutes, and you can pretty much guarantee you've taken a full lane of Rax at this point. So any sort of attempt to play for smokes, they do have 1 smoke in the base, and no smokes in inventory. So just the 1 to make it work. Mousesports, of course, probably thinking about something similar here, as Skywrath Mage does pick up a smoke of his own. Right now, I'm just a little bit concerned for Mousesports, as they were in a really solid situation. NiP couldn't really push. It was just that 1 death of Black that kind of just led to all these sequence of events, right? He dies at top lane, then they push out the bottom one, they force out the buyback at the same time, they get the tower really low, and all of a sudden the momentum just kind of swings the way of NiP again. As I feel Mouz, they just have to relax, slow down the game a little bit again, just continue to play the split push game. Don't get that over aggressive if you're not certain that Black can get out. Now, I'm feeling like I kind of felt like Satanic was a necessity for the Gyrocopter, simply because he takes so much slow harassment damage from the illusions, and they don't have like any sort of mech or anything like that to keep their heroes alive. Instead, it looks like he's going to go for the Butterfly. Hold up here, 4-man smoke. They're going to jump on a TC. Silence up first. Jonas Savant pops a BKB. It does manage to get the tool onto Leshrac, but he already pops a BKB as well. The silence goes down, but they still have enough damage to win the duel. And now the sleep, as it fades, is not going to be enough to save Wave 2. He actually gets off the disruption, but is left completely alone against the rest of NiP's heroes. Limp moves forward, fights another one. Bulba, they pop the Blade Bell, actually might be able to turn on the Limp, takes a large amount of damage, but does manage to get out because of the Glimmer Cape. Forced stab over the cliff, and Bulba gets away. Era dropping quite low, though, down to 300 HP. They had to clean up these illusions now. Era down to 25 HP. Just a little bit of radiance damage is enough to finish him off, but Black, he sees so many low heroes, will be able to chase down one. No, Ogre Magi actually gets out Black. He's just running out of options here. Glimmer Cape on Era. He He needs to be able to get out of this situation. They're going to turn TP out. They see Era. Can he get out? That's there. No, he TP's away. NiP, they managed to survive on full 5 somehow.
That doesn't even make sense to me because Hanskin had 200 HP. The puck must have had less than 100 health. Era at the same time, and being able to get 2 kills out of that is just highway murder. I mean, Mouz have to get something out of that, and that's so demoralizing. Like the fact that they dove in that far, they got that many heroes that low, and they weren't able to get anything out of that is going to be so disappointing to them.
That is, as you said, highway robbery. I think is the perfect term there.
I said highway murder. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. Well, they really should have been punished so much more than that, but. Somehow, some really good team coordination between Ninjas and Pyjamas managed to keep every single one of their heroes alive, and now 16 to 28. That gold lead's got to be dropping heavier and heavier to Ninjas and Pyjamas at this point in time. Over 5,000 gold lead, 25,000 experience going the way of NiP. And we do know that Roshan's going to be coming up here fairly soon. Both teams realize it. Smoke up. NiP leading with the BKB. 3-man call. Good setup so far. The rest of the Ninjas and Pyjamas. Here comes Era. That advanced move to travel leading into the play. Oh, man. The flat cannon shots. Just tearing apart Mouz. All 4 down. And Black making the only play he can. Hanskin hoping he will get a glimpse there. Onto the Naga Siren. Unsuccessful. And once again, Ninjas and Pyjamas win a huge team fight. Time to 5-man down bottom.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for the Roshan at this point. If 4 heroes are down, then the choice is clear. Black can't 1v4 that. I think they're just going to try to force in as many lanes as they possibly can. Limp does have his travels up, so he's just going to go heal as fast as he can. The 3 bottom heroes do have full HP and full mana, so they're okay with this. And Jonas and Fan is coming in as well. Puck should TP in shortly, and I mean, Black, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold this 1v5. I think the correct play here is to kind of just give this up, try to slow them down as much as you can, and maybe catch whoever you can. The glyph is popped because they realize they just need to buy time. And
he does also have the sleep if he wants to make an initiation when the Leshrac is getting close. In fact, he's not even going to wait for the Leshrac here. Already throwing out the sleep, just trying to stall time as much as possible. Leshrac up in just another 2 seconds. They get a small amount of damage on the supports, especially in the back. I like the way he just put the sleep to cover the carries, but not the supports. But it's still going to be a full lane of racks down. Ninjas and Pyjamas, a clean getaway, it seems, as Mousesports unable to pursue.
Yeah, and NiP, they get out with all 5 heroes. They manage to take out the racks, and it looks like they want to go for the turnaround plays. They realize that Mouz don't have the best vision. They know that Black doesn't have his ultimate up at the same time.
Oh, if they can only get the duel. Black is actually dueled up, and now the rest of the team's going to follow in. Black gets disrupted. TC right in the middle of these heroes trying to lay out the magic damage, but Black is still going to potentially fall. The turn takes down 2. Era going to fall as well, and Ninjas and Pyjamas have lost the fight. Black with another sleep is going to try and save his allies here. Limp going in deep, trying to get Pylai die is successful. Black makes the TP back out. And it looks like Limp and Hanskin will be able to get away, but Black so close to going down there, but multiple saves. The disruption followed up by the Manta play. Ends up keeping Black alive, gets several kills, and manages to TP to the fountain to safety.
That Manta play was beautiful. What looked like it should have just been the game for Black right now. I mean, that could have, if he dies right there, I don't know if he had buyback. He got so much
He did not have buyback for another minute.
Yeah, and for him to be able to get out of that fight with 6.5k gold, a full item, gonna be coming the way of him, and that could have just been the game right there for NiP, and it looked like it was so close. Like, they were so happy. They managed to catch out Black, they get the duel off, but unable to bring him down as he's just so tanky.
This is going to mean an Aghanims upgrade for our disruptors. So that Manta play that we saw is not going to be seen again if they manage to get the Static Storm on our Naga Siren, which is going to be a big upgrade in damage, and obviously the lockdown potential is huge. So that also is going to play a factor for the Leshrac as well if he gets caught out without his BKB. So big upgrade for Ninjas and Pyjamas to be sure, but is it going to be enough to close out this game? They're still dealing with the incredibly arduous Naga Siren split push that is keeping most of their lanes pushed in.
Yeah, they're going to struggle right now even more once Black picks up a single item. Like, he's saving for buyback right now, but he's got enough money to purchase whatever he wants, opting to go for what looks like the Scotty. Yes, that is the pickup choice for him, and I think that's a good one because you don't really need the heart. You want a little bit of everything right now. Going for the butterfly doesn't make sense because of the MKB that's already on the gyrocopter, but going for the Scotty I think is the correct decision. And it's just going to be even harder to take down these illusions. And NiP are struggling right now to kind of deal with this Naga Siren. They do have a Rax down, though, at 44 minutes. for Mouz, it's not the worst thing in the world. The bigger concern right now, I think, for Mouz is it feels like they're putting a little bit too much on this Naga Siren. Is Bulba barely has any farm whatsoever. TC, ever since he got that BKB, he's got 2 Bloodstone charges and not much else. And it just kind of feels like, how much can Black do?
Yeah, at a certain point, Black gets picked off once, and that's them then on the defensive. They're forced into a 5 vs 5 team fight, which is not what the Naga Siren wants. Bulba makes a jump in, forces out the BKB. JoinDOTA is actually going to make an aggressive jump in with the duel, gets on to Pyjamas die. Disruption to be able to save. JoinDOTA might actually be the loser of this duel. Barely wins it, but may just be going down. Black actually tries to throw out the sleep, but Air's damage is too much. The MKB procs overwhelm him, and that might just be the pick off pitches. The Pyjamas see Roshan is up too. Gonna be looking to take that Aegis per chance, or maybe they'll just 5-man down mid. The problem is that tier 2 tower is still up, so they're gonna be a bit delayed going directly into the base. But with 70 seconds still left on the clock for Mousesports' Naga Siren, might just be enough time for Era to be able to get that second set of racks without the Naga.
I think you still go for this. You force the Naga's buyback because you can still get the Aegis. You can't really contest that far out because you want to be able to fight inside your base, kind of play the in and out game because you don't have something like Heart. So if you're going to be able to exit the base and contest with the Roshan, you're pretty much putting your game on that alone. So I think force out the buyback, and even then, this seems like a bit of an early buyback unless they plan on contesting the Aegis, but I don't know if Mouz should do this.
Yeah, there was only 3 heroes there from Ninjas of Pyjamas. They had 3 go back to Fountain, but it was only Limp who could TP forward on the Boots of Travel, so there is potential for perhaps Mousesports to be able to contest this Roshan claim, as Era really would like to get that Aegis already. The Illusions are filing in 1 by 1 into the Roshan pit just to be able to dish out as much Riptide and Radiance damage as possible. You can already see JoinDOTA drop it a bit low. Same goes with Limp, but it seems Roshan's going to go down here without a contest unless Black gets in a better position to get off of sleep. They're just going to give it up. So Mousesports are now going to have to fight into an Aegis, and yeah, just an Aegis. There's no cheese for this one, only the second Roshan down.
And I still can't believe JoinDOTA's move right there. When he blinks in aggressively with nobody behind him, he goes onto the Skywrath and just sets up that fight beautifully. Era comes in with the BKB, no hesitation on him, and just fight after fight. It feels like NiP are just out-executing Mousesports right now. Is with this Aegis, high ground should be possible, depending on who they take down. And I think if they take down Black one more time, he doesn't have buyback for another 5 minutes and 30 seconds. This should mean game.
Yeah, Mousesports gotta bank hard on that split push right now. The bottom lane is unfortunately the tough lane to deal with. The super creeps are being able to fight back those 1 illusions at a time. And the rest of Ninjas of Pyjamas, well, you could see they're smoked up. If they manage to get a pick off on the Naga Siren, they've won the game. If they get another kill, though, they'll have a serious advantage in being able to go uphill. JoinDOTA leading the way here. They do see him for a second, Blink Dagger. Oh, it's actually nighttime there, so they didn't actually see him. Only just now becoming day.
And Era's having such a hard time right now dealing with all of these illusions. He actually hasn't been able to push out even an inch forward. As he continues to rocket barrage, but he's running out of mana pretty quickly, as he has to deal with this illusion that's clearing his entire creep wave out already, and Black just being in a really big nuisance right now as he continues to just send illusions down this mid lane because he realizes that NiP want to get aggressive right now, but in the current position, Era has to go back.
This was the position that they wanted to catch out that Naga Siren. Unfortunately, by the time they smoked up and pushed forward, it was Black who had already blown both his mirror images as well as his Manta, so there was no reason for him to be that far at that point in time, and just went all the way back to his tier 3 tower. So they had the right idea, just the timing slightly off there.
Yeah, the illusions, I think Era's the only one that can deal with them. As we see Limp at top, I mean, he just has to wait for it to fade. Doesn't really provide too much resistance for that, but the upgraded Boots of Travels come on him as well. I think Hex is the next natural choice for him at some point. You just give one of the supports the gem. The Ogre, at the same time, is trying to pick up an Aghanim Scepter, which is the obvious choice for him. I'm not sure how much it'll impact these fights. I feel like the main thing right now is JoinDOTA farm is Puck, depending on what they get.
Ooh, Puck is maybe going to be caught out here. No, he has a BKB. He's going to be able to turn this one. Pyjamas die. He sees him and will be able to use the Yule Scepter to pick him off there. Era comes in with the extra bit of damage necessary. Suicide committed there thanks to the Bloodstone pickup by Pyjamas die. A little bit interesting to see a Bloodstone on a Skywrath Mage. I saw Py had a lot of gold after that Glimmer Cape, but that was not the item I expected.
What did you expect? Force staff?
Yeah, probably Force Staff. I mean, just more mobility and utility for the hero.
I guess the Bloodstone works well too, though, because if you go for aggressive moves like Pi does, you don't really lose anything by going for the Suicide, and you could really go for that YOLO save when the Naga Siren has like 10 HP and you're able to just kill yourself and help out Black, because that's the goal right now. Everything is determined by the Naga Siren. Like, if you can save the Naga Siren in a fight, you probably win the fight if you're able to do what you did at bottom lane once again, but if the Naga goes down, like, what does it matter what farm you have, right? Like, a single Force Staff on you won't really change the game, I feel.
I would even say like Ghost Scepter, which helps you a lot against that Gyrocopter when you get into the fights with the Flat Cannon, into an Ethereal Blade, which can then be used to potentially save the Naga Siren, and also has like a really good, it's really good synergy with the Skywrath Mage anyway.
And so it looks like a mid push is coming the way right now of NiP, and no illusions quite yet to deal with it as Black sent the illusions to this top lane, but I think that was the wrong move, as they're already at the doorstep.
Yeah, and with 4 heroes to able to right-click all these illusions down before they can actually get past. The idea being with this Naga Siren is to throw them past the heroes to be able to get onto the creep wave and kill it out before he gets to the base. Unfortunately, there's enough damage out from Ninjas the Pyjamas that they're going to be able to good. Wiping out the creep wave and the illusions at the same time. No backdoor protection now for this tier 3 tower. Ninjas the Pyjamas on the verge here of being able to finish up this game against Mousesports. They're going to be forced into defense here. Tier 3 tower does go down. Era still has his Satanic available as well as the Aegis. So even if he is dropping a bit low, he is perfectly fine. He's got some recovery mechanisms.
Yeah, they're just continuing to march down this mid lane. Black sends the real him at the same time. I think NiP realized this feels a little bit fruitless, like we're not getting as much as we should out of this. Let's just kind of circle out, see what we can do. Because they're not in any rush, and if they lose one more fight, they would kind of give the game back to Mouz in some ways. So I think that they just play the patient game, wait things out for as long as you can. If you can get one pick off on Black, that could potentially end the game, and I think you just play for that, rather than just trying to force things and maybe lose a fight inside of Mouse's space.
Thoughts on Abyssal Blade as our last item for Era to replace the Aegis. That just goes down. Big damage upgrade, but usually not seen on these range heroes.
I think you just need DPS if you're him, and the Naga Siren's going to get in melee range of you anyways, so it's probably an okay pickup.
Yeah. At the very least, you might be able to get like an Abyssal Blade on one of the illusions that tries to slip by, or something like that. Like, he's having such a hard time controlling these illusions where they just, like, when he's trying to solo defend and they just run past him.
Okay, I can kind of see that, I guess, but top lane.
Oh, they're going to try and burst him out before the BKB, but he gets it off, and now he's going to turn on a pylon dive. We've seen this story again, and sure enough, an exact repeat as Yules just stop the TP out. Yonasafan and Era both join him. This time, a slight change-up in our storyline, as they do manage to get some extra dual damage for the Legion Commander on NiP.
They have to know at this point, like, every single time the BKB is going to get used before anything can get dropped on top of him, and on top of that, like, he's got a Yule Scepter, and they know that there's a Boots of Travel 2 on the Gyrocopter. Like, they have to be more aware of that, and like, the exact same thing happened as the last time they went for it, and it gets even harder as they pick up more items. And they don't have the Bloodstone on top of that, so throwing a free kill the way of NiP, and more importantly than that, dual damage. The infinitely scaling hero.
Yep. We do have Limp, who's sitting on 6k. Scythe-Bites for him, I'm presuming, Blitz. Always a staple item for a puck, plus the Scythe-Bites is going to be helpful against just taking out one of those illusions instantly as well.
I think it's the right call.
Yeah.
You could go for something like a Shiva's to just kind of deal with the Naga Siren illusions, but I would prefer to see something like a Hex. So you can typically kind of isolate out which one is the real one, especially with the Flat Cannon, right? Like, that makes it obvious really quickly as Era just continues to push out this mid lane. He doesn't have this Aegis anymore, so he has to be a little bit careful, but it doesn't look like Mouz want to commit to anything as they continue to just play the waiting game, and I think they're hoping to just sort of rubber band, like, take one fight, win it really hard, and then just immediately push back with everything they can as fast as they can, and force out buybacks and just go for that one-off play.
Where did NiP make their entry? Do you still want to see them 5-man through the middle lane, or do you think that it's a viable play for them to go through the bottom lane and just backdoor into that middle lane?
I think what they're doing right now, keeping the lanes pushed out and looking for opportunities constantly with what smokes they can get, and getting Boots of Travel on all their core heroes is the right idea. Like, they don't have a smoke readily available quite yet. I think it's on cooldown for another 4 minutes for them. So I think this is the correct play. Like, the Disruptor gets a Boots of Travel, the Ogre gets a Boots of Travel. Just pick up travels on as many heroes as you can, so you never lose a base race opportunity. As you see, like, Jonas Sapan has one as well. Like, everybody on the team except the Ogre Magi has one, and I think this is the correct idea. Like, just slow down the pace of the game. The Naga Siren isn't going to get any larger, and TC's picking up 0 farm right now because he's never able to leave the base.
Is Jonas Sapan going for an Ags? Or is this like a Scotty build or something with the point booster?
It might be the infinite dual Magnums. Like, I kind of like to see that.
I've seen that before, but
that'd be sort of neat. It'd be good against the Naga Siren, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have enough physical damage to deal with him when he BKBs, and he's got 20 armor. So you could hold him down forever. Like, that actually sounds sort of legit.
One of the few times that the Aghanim's Legion Commander pickup might be viable here, but it may not be necessary. Ninja's Pyjamas looking really good here to be able to push into the base. They have managed to get a creep wave up into that staircase. That will take away the backdoor protection. Era, sure enough, goes straight for that range Rex. Oh, backdoor protection. The Illusions go for it. They're just trying to stall up Air as much as possible. They do get the press the attack to manage to clear up Air. Can he continue those right clicks? He will be dropping. Jeez, the nuke's just too much for him to handle. The rest of Ninjas and Pyjamas are going to back up. Didn't have an opportunity really to pop his BKB or Satanic. Don't think he really had much mana, so that was just a free kill for Mousesports. Kind of anticlimactic end to that push.
And he has to realize, like, he doesn't have the mana to be able to fight in that position. I guess they don't lose too much by him dying because they're just continuing to stall up the game, and Refresher is actually the choice for Limp. I think this is fine as well.
The biggest loss is going to be if they give up Roshan here.
Yeah, and that might actually be what happens is they do have enough damage to take it out, and TC picks up a Shiva's Guard as well. Or he's actually got the money for it and buyback. I'm not actually quite sure why he's not going for it. Maybe he's just afraid of losing the Courier. As Jonas and Fan, yeah, he decides to go for the actual Scepter.
Alright, the Infinite Duel. You managed to get the duel off. For those guys who don't know, if you get the duel off, it pretty much means, Skyreth Mage actually forced into a Bloodstone Suicide there. Mousesports already blown to sleep, and it looks like NiP will successfully defend Roshan without needing buyback from the Gyrocopter, and that's a huge factor here.
And we're rapidly approaching the 60-minute mark as Mousesports, they have done what they needed to. Like, they slowed down the pace of the game, they haven't lost any additional racks, and this bottom racks really doesn't mean anything in the context of the game, because Naga Siren deals with it so effectively.
The Legion is grateful.
Illusions continually harassing Ninjas and Pyjamas. At the same time, Mousesports do have a push in both bottom and top lane to deal with, plus the Gyrocopter's up in 8 seconds. They cannot contest Roshan, and if they're forced back here with their TPs, they probably just give up Roshan entirely. So Aegis and Cheese probably going to go the way of NiP, unless they manage to make another excursion into that Roshan pit and potentially lead with the Song of Siren to be able to make the big plays, but we'll see what happens. Already you can see Era in the pit, 1 versus 1 against the Gyro.
Yeah, and the Gyrocopter should be able to take this down pretty quickly. I'm curious to see who they put the Aegis and the Cheese on. Maybe they decide to put it on Era again, but it doesn't quite matter, I guess, for their high ground attempts. If it goes on anybody else, like, I think it should go on Era, the Aegis, and just kind of keep the Abyssal Blade on whoever you can. Like, maybe even give it to Hanskin. And that's actually going to be the play.
So Aegis and then Cheese going over to Limp. I was going to say Limp, but he's got a very full inventory with the... He did not go side device, by the way. We saw a Refresher pick up from him instead. So
wait, who did the Cheese go on?
It went on to the Courier.
Okay.
And it's going to be picked up by Seal Kid, looks like.
Alright, I think that's the right decision. Like, you should have it at least for the fight. There's no reason not to.
Because you're going to want to try and pass off the Cheese over to the Gyrocopter when he comes back with the Aegis, right?
Yeah, and you've got the Disruptor holding on to the Abyssal Blade as well. I think that's the correct decision. I think the Abyssal matters the least out of all of his items.
Right.
Maybe you can even make a case for dropping the Boots of Travel, but I don't think he'd do that.
It's pesky Illusions. Black unable to stop the next creep wave coming forward. They can clear out the rest of these Illusions, get into the staircase. The backdoor protection will end up falling here. And there it is, just a ranged creep moving forward, but it's enough. Ninjas and Pyjamas now in a good position to be able to take down this second lane of racks. Era not wanting to lead the charge just yet, waiting for that next creep wave. They do also have the bottom lane, which is pushing in quite heavily. Those super creeps can lay some havoc to potentially some of the tier 4s if Mousesports lose their eye.
And Mousesports continues to go with the same strategy and execution. Just send the Illusions out, buy as much time as you can, force NiP to get impatient, and I think that's what's happening right now. NiP are like, okay, screw this, we have to go high ground. They do manage to finally take down a Rax.
Leading the disruption, gonna try and follow up. No BKB out from Era, and there goes that first life. So Aegis down. Rest of Jonas and his crew actually all glowed down to about half HP. They're gonna need to protect Era somehow. That's why Limp comes forward, pops the BKB, throws out a coil, but not much else. The illusions being still enough to force back the rest of Ninjas of Pyjamas. And unfortunately, NiP are going to be forced all the way back. All they got out of that was the range racks, and they may even lose a hero here. Jonas forced to pop the BKB up against just illusions chasing him. No hook shot there. Fortunately, was able to blink away ahead of that one. Meanwhile, there goes those super creeps. Effigies start dropping, and Tier 4 is taking some damage.
Yeah, and if anybody's curious, like, why don't NiP just all in? The problem is that if Mouz get enough of Cold Swing back, then the game just kind of turns around and evens out once again. Right. And we're starting to see that happen already. It is a 20k net worth lead, but the Naga Siren 6 slotted with 5.6k gold on top of that. Like, she's even eating wound shards. Like, she's actually so farmed right now, and the rest of NiP just can't deal with her. And the issue is that Era's your frontline hero that's going to go to the high ground, but he doesn't tank enough to survive that without the Aegis. And even then, he doesn't really quite put enough damage out. And I think Limp is actually going to pay pushing out this top lane with his life, as they do have a Hex up on TC. It's the opposite Nako for the Shiva's Guard.
All right, third time's a charm. Let's see whether or not they can take down Limp. He pops the BKB. Hook shot is still available. Well, in just a second here, but the boots are dribbling. Here comes Era. He wants to have a fight here. Refresher being used. BKB, secondary use. He does have a coil on multiple, but Era ends up falling. Oh, no. NiP already in bad position. Jonas did manage to get the duel, but the infinite loop does not go his way. The win to the Nagasar. The right-hand side, Hanskin managed to make the Glimmer Cape TP out. And Ninjas in Pyjamas in a very bad position is if they lose multiple heroes here. They've already lost 2, may lose Still Kid as well. They could be now playing defense up against Mousesports.
Yeah, and again, Mouz, they're just so farmed right now. And the Gyrocopter, you're starting to see the effectiveness of the hero sort of wear out as TC does get blinked back, and Jonas buys back.
Whoa!
Sleep is actually popped right now by Black.
Yeah, very aggressive play. There was the buyback from Jonas which might have spurred that decision from Black. He heads down to the bottom lane. Split push, he says. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, just continue to wear out the game for as long as you can, because you saw how quickly Era goes down. Like, he only has a 5-second BKB. The Abyssal Blade pickup isn't really doing too much for him on top of that, and he doesn't really have the firepower to support him. Like, the Disruptor does have an Aghanim Scepter, but he's never in any position where he's actually going to get a good Static Storm off. Same with the Puck, and the Ogre only has an Aghanims, and Jonas has pretty much just gone entirely for utility items. He picks up a Blade Mill, a BKB, an Axe, a Vladimir's, and a Blink Dagger. Like, none of those items are very expensive. Like, this is a fake 6 slot.
Would you have preferred to see like a Scotty instead, like the mixture of stats and like defense and offense for the Gyrocopter that would have tanked him up a little bit more instead of the Abyssal Blade straight damage, or like maybe even a heart to tank him up even further?
I think Scotty would have been okay, and this is a 4-man smoke from both teams, but NiP are on the low ground right now.
Ninjas in Pyjamas now just heading into the enemy jungle as best they can. The TP's out. The mirror image is going to be able to provide Black an opportunity to make the jump in. Jonas actually gets the duel onto TC. There goes the sleep, and they're going to be able to lock down almost all the heroes there as the infinite duel keeps on going. Disruption, Jonas will end up losing it again. Ninjas in Pyjamas struggling to be able to survive here. They will be able to get the kill onto TC, chasing away the rest of the heroes. Mousesports are now just going to play the longer game with these illusions.
Oh, Era's
spanning out. Era's going to fight up against Black. Black needs to be able to get away from both Limp. He's going to be locked down by the missile here in a second. Stunned up. Limp trying to go for that kill. Disruption once again as Era fighting up against his own illusions. Quickly killed Limp. Makes a jump away. Limp. Fuel Scepter up. Trying to make the blink away. Phase shift. Hookshot lands and managed to make the blink out. Nicely played by Limp. But still, it's the Gyrocopter down, and Black actually makes an aggressive blink in. He's going to be able to make the boots of travel potentially to get the kill on Limp. There goes Purge and gets him. Cleans up all 5 and Ninjas in Pyjamas, and now we're just left with buybacks. NiP have to buy back on multiple heroes here. It's going to be both the Puck and the Gyrocopter. They hope to keep their first set racks alive.
Yeah, but the Legion Commander doesn't have a buyback, and I think Mouz are aware of this, and Black does have a buyback on top of that, so if he trades 1 for 1 for any of the cores that just bought back right now, that's pretty much the game, as they don't have enough damage to deal with this, and all of a sudden they've outlasted NiP, as Era just kind of gets kited now, as the 5-second BKB just isn't able to do it anymore.
dear, things turning pretty sour for NiP, who are in once such a commanding position, being able to take that bottom lane Arax and even threaten the mid lane Arax, but unable to close out the game as we now hit the 65-minute mark. It's 26-41. You could see the gold lead sharply skyrocketing up towards the direction of Mousesports. Only a 10,000 gold lead now for NiP after what was once a 20,000 gold lead. 40,000 experience now turns into only 20,000 experience lead as well. So their advantage completely halved there just from one bad fight. And Mousesports looking to make a second bad fight as the hook shot goes in. Missed. Opportunity there from Bulba. Double more staff and a Glimmer Cape to help get him out, but never mind. He gets glimpsed back. And oh dear, this looks like a free pick-off. We have a two-man quad on the left-hand side. Nagasarn is going to be coming in with the boots of travel. This may be still a good fight though. NiP comes forward. Three-man. Jumps in. Yonason grabs way two. Aaron right in the middle of everybody. Turns. Looks to kill TC. They have the disruption ultimate going down on the side. Black manages to get off his ultimate. Limp. Can't really stop this one. They're going to pursue. Looks like Pyjamas die. Nice force staff up the cliff. Ooh, look at that cheeky little play drop in the gem. He hopes to be able to draw attention. Black still being pursued out from Yonason. They really need this pick off. Siren actually gets the kill. The disruptor thanks to the illusions. Oh dear. Their pursuit leaves a pile of blood where their support once stood. And are they going to be able to spot out this Skywrath mage? He's still hanging out here. Picked up his gem once again. And Pi looks like he's good. He's going to make a jump down. Gets the illusion room. They need that gem, but unfortunately it is not close enough. It's our Puck who did have it, but no longer.
Yeah, and they're going to scout out the Roshan, realize that it's not there, be a little bit disappointed, but again, NiP, they struggle so hard to take down this Nagasarn, and they don't have the best ability to chase after him, as you realize, like, Hanskin just goes down to the illusions as they constantly pursue, and in games like this, when BKB start to get really low in terms of time, and the fights get so long and drawn out, Nagasarn reigns king. He's got 18 dual damage on top of that, and he's just buying careers for himself too. Like, what are you gonna buy? You've got 12k gold. You're gonna buy all the points.
Looking for it. Glimmer Cape goes off. Limp comes in, but Pyjamas die. He's the sneaky little bugger with the Glimmer Cape and the gem. In fact, he wants to be able to turn this one. Limp is there with the coil potentially. Hookshot grabs Yonason. Free pickoff. Limp, he just needs to get out of here. He's got the blink away. Looks like he'll still be good. Bulba still pursuing forward. Throws out a rocket, hoping to be able to see somebody here. Oh, he's on the mark! Era locked down. Is going to be pushed back. TP out. At least he forced down the BKB, so that's good enough. They now have a serious advantage. If they can actually push into the base here with this BKB on cooldown, they'll be able to potentially take that lane of Rax with Yonason still no buyback, and they know it too.
Yeah, but 40-second cooldown is probably not big enough of a difference for Mouse to be able to go for this. But, I mean, they're in pretty commanding position. They don't actually have to go for the high ground if they don't want to. Because even if they are down to Rax, at this point in the game, it doesn't matter at all. Because Black just continues to push out every single lane by himself. And that alone is keeping them in this game. And he hasn't been caught once, since we kind of discussed the point where it's like, okay, if he dies once the game ends, never dies, continues to keep himself alive, contributes in the fights, manages to get himself out every single time, because he realizes sometimes, okay, if one or two of my teammates get picked off, that's a lost cause. The key here is that I don't have to be forced to use buyback to be able to defend anything. Like, all that matters is my survival, because the rest of my team can come back in, will be okay, and TC starts to slowly rack up farm. He does have 2,500 gold again, and Black making his way to this mid lane is...
They're about to make the refresher play. They're going to throw out Mantle Illusions, they've got mirror images to throw out, and they could potentially refresher and do it again as soon as the illusions die, with NiP kind of handicapped, but we'll see if they want to make that play.
And I think this was the right idea. I mean, he's 6-slotted with his own courier, a refresher orb, and he's still got 7k on top of that. Like, you might as well just buy everything. Get a Necro 3. Just buy everything in the book that you possibly can for your team.
He decides that it's not really worth it sticking around that middle lane. Instead, he's going to go for bottom and just pass up an illusion rune. Not entirely sure why. Such a huge rune for a Nagasarn to pick up.
Yeah, and right now the Roshan area is being pinged out by NiP, but I don't even know if Roshan does anything for them, as Air's been 6-slotted for the longest time. Even with this Aegis, he's unable to survive for very long, as he doesn't want to pop his Satanic when they go high ground, but he just doesn't have enough damage to deal with anybody at this moment.
Right. Mousesports, man, this is a long, drawn-out game. We're hitting the 70-minute marker now, as this Game 2 on the first day of the JoinDOTA MLG Pro League Season Number 2 Championships. It is looking pretty rough for both teams. as we do have Ninjas Pyjamas who are so close to being able to finish this game, but have now been drawn out to the point where the Naga Siren does reign supreme when it comes to split pushing and just general map positioning. There's not much NiP can do except for hope to be able to get a pick-off at some point in time, and that's primarily on Jonas Infant, but he's got so many illusions giving vision to Mousesports, it's tough to be able to get there in time.
Yeah, he does have a lot of dual victory damage, up at 124, but 70 minutes into the game, it's just not enough right now. He has to try to look for it on Black, but every single time that he goes for Black, Black gets disrupted and then he dies before anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's actually not that effective anymore.
Well, the buybacks is coming up for Ninjas of Pyjamas in a second. They want to play defense while their buybacks are down, but once they're back up, they may be able to push out again, especially with the smoke that's coming up in another 20 seconds. They do have an opportunity to try and push out and see if they can force a team fight. At least a little bit better situation than having to deal with the Naga Siren split push constantly.
Yeah, and all three lanes are being pushed in by Black by himself, and he's built up 10k gold once again. Got more than enough for buyback. He's got a refresher orb on top of that. He could pick up another tier 5 item if he wants. It's just getting more and more rough as time passes on for NiP as they're holed up into their base because they don't want to be caught out and be forced to buy back in an awkward situation, especially against a Naga Siren.
What else do you do with the Naga Siren at this point in time? Like, you've got the extra refresher, you get Necronomicon, right? That's one of the plays that you can go for. Do you ever replace the Diffusal for something different? Or is it just too strong of a passive to have on those illusions?
I guess you could, but I don't know if it's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing how much it does against Era alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And against the supports especially, it just adds free damage. And Rapier is going to be the pickup right now for Era as he realizes he just doesn't do enough damage.
They find Pylon Eye, so there's the start. They don't even get that much out of it, as it was a suicide. At least the gem is dropped, though. So they'll be able to recover that, hopefully be able to get some vision down. And yeah, Era realizing that Abyssal Blade not being enough anymore. How many Divines do you keep on going? Like, at what point in time do you start thinking about replacing, like, MKB with another Divine just to be able to get better flat cannon damage?
I don't think you can do that against a Naga Siren. Like, the miss chance is just a little bit too high. I think that the MKB is still worth it. If you're going to drop anything, you might just YOLO it and go for the travels and all in. I'm not sure. Maybe even buy a second one right now in case you want to just go for the all in play.
Yeah.
It looks like that's actually the option right now. Like, in case he dies, he'll have a second Rapier waiting.
Yeah, you need that backup Divine Rapier if you want to be able to push in when it's 72 minutes into this game.
It's a good play though, because nobody on Mouse can really wield it. Like, it doesn't matter if, for example, Leshrac or Clockwork gets it. Like, I think this is a fine play. I think he should have actually done this a little bit earlier because their high ground game is just so weak. Like, I don't even think taking racks here matters to Mouse, especially. Like, Mega Creeps or bust or try to win the game outright.
An Invis Rune and Roshan. So Aegis and Cheese is going to be coming up here. Another situation where they can probably bring themselves a courier or just have one of the supports carry an item for Harry, pick up the Aegis, and see if they can't get the melee racks now. This time around, Mousesports, they are going to be contesting. Look at this smoke. They're going to try and set up with the Naga Siren sleep, but the Roshan, it's already dead. Unfortunately, no sleep interception play to be had here, and perhaps a completely wasted smoke for Mousesports.
Yeah, and that's pretty significant. At this late in the game, the amount of smokes that you have are really limited, so even going for attempts like this, I mean, look at it. It's 9 minutes for the next smoke. So that's going to kind of limit their movements, and NiP are going to feel emboldened by this Rapier and this Aegis, but I don't know how many more opportunities they get on top of this.
There's the Mass Dagon play. Still no side device. Bit surprised by that one. Limp just refusing to go for that disable, instead going for the maxed out Dagon in just one big play.
It could theoretically work. Like, you could burst somebody really quickly, and the BKBs are low enough, and if you could isolate out Black, it's not the worst play, but I still kind of would have liked to see the Hexes. Jonas Infant taking heavy damage right now.
Boy, he needs some more lifesteal than just that flat. Fortunately, he's got some neutrals to be able to farm up thanks to both Moment of Courage and Press the Attack and his natural lifesteal thanks to Vlads. He will get up to full HP eventually here. The first creep wave starts heading into the base here, but quickly rebuffed by the Naga Siren illusions, it seems. Fortunately, the one big advantage for NiP right now, those siege creeps. Super siege creeps moving on in this middle lane, not taking as much damage from those illusions. Flex, got to think about maybe right-clicking those ones as they do start going uphill. Focusing on some of the huts for now. As we approach the 75-minute marker, NiP are now in a position that they were just 10 minutes ago. Sitting in that middle lane, looking to be able to take a second lane of racks, but hoping not to give away too much in return. Being very hesitant, though, you could see. They're actually trying to sit back, deal with these illusions one by one. They do have the bottom lane that's going to push out in the process.
The problem right now for NiP, though, is that Mouz don't have to do anything. Like, Mouz have held this entire game. They realized that Arrow 6-slotted. NiP got 6-slotted much sooner than Mouz did. So Mouz just continues to scale upwards cap. And the longer this game goes, it just benefits them, because even though Black is like 15-slotted, it doesn't matter, because TC still has room to grow, Pyjamas still has room to grow, Way2 could, yeah, he's actually picked up an Aghanim Scepter, he's got 2,800 gold, like, their heroes can actually start to scale, whereas NiP, they don't have the best heroes at scaling. It's, in terms of physical damage, it's just really the gyrocopter, because the way that Jonas is built is just entirely utility, and so the longer this game goes, the more that it benefits Mouz. I mean, they've won the last 4 fights. Why change the formula at all?
Yeah. Even if Naga Siren is taking like every bit of farm on the map just purely through tick gold, eventually we're going to have TC picking up that next item, which looks to be a Shiva's, but we'll see what happens. That blade mail, pretty much a necessity against the raw physical damage of the gyrocopter at this point, with all that flat cannon damage coming out.
Yeah, and if they want, they could pick up a second rapier as well onto Era, but I think they're going to try to wait it out. Dagon 5, I think, purchased by the puck, or is that 3? That's actually level 3. And I think this is the wrong choice. I feel like going for a Hex would do a lot more for you in terms of pickoff potential, but I guess he just thinks that they need to be able to burst down. And I guess it kind of helps dealing with the illusions as well.
Yeah, if he actually had the full Dagon 5, he could like almost take out the illusions in just that one Dagon spur, and it does have a decent cooldown to it, 25 seconds. So we'll see what happens here. An interesting interaction here. We probably haven't seen too many Aghanim upgrades for the Shadow Demon, so this gives you 2 different purges, but it also allows the purge to be able to apply the break mechanic. Now, this normally doesn't mean too much for most of these heroes. They don't actually have any dangerous passives, except for Moment of Courage. That's really the only passive they're going to be able to break, is when Jonas goes in for that duel, they can actually purge him, take away the Moment of Courage, and that'll be a huge loss to the sustainability of the Legion banner at this point.
It's so effective against Era as well. Like, if he has a rapier and he's kind of all in at this point, then your entire focus is just trying to burst him down.
Right.
And the Shadow Demon being able to just kind of go purge after purge on him to make sure that he dies is pretty significant. Like, how many charges is it?
2 charges.
2 charges. Oh wait, it's 3. He's got 3 total now, right?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
Sacred Relic is queued up on Era, so the second Divine can come at any point that he wants to, and I think he's just saving for buyback. And I mean, Black doesn't really have to save for anything at this point. Is we've said it enough. 15k net worth on him.
Jesus. I know Naha is going to have a lot to say about this game, as I'm sure there's plenty of records being broken.
I don't know. This feels like a standard Naga game. Like, this is kind of what you expect.
Well, it's a little bit of a longer game than your standard Naga. I mean, we're hitting the 78-minute marker here.
I mean, this is just what Naga does.
Yeah.
She extends the game no matter what, and NiP looked like they had some opportunities, but that bottom fight is going to haunt them for a long time if that's what determines this game. Is, I mean, Black's played so well in the latter 45 minutes of the game or so, where he's just kept the game going pretty much by himself. Alright, so he goes to the
I was wondering how much gold he was going to build up for that, like, 8-9 slot Naga Siren. So we now have the Necrobook minions that can come into play. Small factors, but might as well use that gold with something.
Yeah, and MKB is completed onto Jonas and this is the right idea. Like, you have to start filtering out your worst items to get some actual damage done. Right. Because it can't just be Era anymore, and I think that's been demonstrated enough times. Like, the last 4 pushes that haven't gone their way. I mean, NiP can still win though. Like, they have the Disruptor ultimate with the Aghanim Scepter, so they have ways to kill Black. I mean, Era's got he's actually got a BKB with the Divine Rapier. Like, he puts out a lot of damage. Jonas is starting to get really strong finally, and you've got a lot of burst damage on the puck. So they do have ways to deal with Black. I'm just a little bit concerned. How do you kill him twice?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think, like, this is going to be, I don't think this game is ever going to come down to, like, one big team fight, no matter how late we stretch. Because I think it's always going to be, like, you take that one team fight, you force buybacks, you back up and try and force another team fight in the next 5 minutes, but it's just so hard, like on both sides, right? If they managed to, last time, it was Mousesports sitting in a really good position where they managed to force out a couple buybacks, and they still didn't feel confident enough to push uphill against Ninjas of Pyjamas, even when there were some buybacks down. So they couldn't force that like last team fight ever. And NiP, kind of same thing for them. I mean, they pushed out the bottom lane when there was no buyback on the Naga Siren, but they were also low up that they couldn't continue a secondary fight.
Yeah, it just kind of feels like they're kind of going into a loop right now, as both teams are too afraid to push out and give up any sort of ground. And like I said, Mouz, they use that smoke that one time to kind of contest right for a second, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And another Divine Rapier purchased by the Gyrocopter. Yep, he's got one queued up into a slot. He's got 4.2k gold on top of that, so not concerned at all about the buyback status of his hero. As Era, I don't know if he can get much bigger than this.
All right, so let's talk about some of the other support. Like we talked about the Naga Siren, Gyrocopter. Not much else they can really do from here. Hanskin, well, that's one of the guys I wanted to talk about. We'll have to talk about him while he's dead. It's Pylon and Bulba managed to get a pick off on him. First bit of action we've seen in some time. But Hanskin was building into a certain number of items here at 4,500 gold before he died. What's his best option at this point? I mean, it's such a peculiar game.
Maybe a Refresher Orb?
Okay.
Just try to cover the land in Static Storms?
Sure.
So that nothing can grow? I don't know.
And
we also usually go this far in.
Oh, they're actually going to make a Boots of Travel play here. Yoda-Safan is going to make the tempted duel. The disruption goes down. Yoda-Safan now looking for more. They're going to go for Sealkin as he does have Era TPing in. They hope to get, yes, the MKB proc to be able to stop the Skyrim Mage. Way 2 is going to be caught out as well. Multiple purges will make sure the Yoda-Safan cannot get the last hit, but they still get the kill anyway. Bulba is now going to be locked in. 4 heroes down on the side of Mousesports in one swift Boots of Travel maneuver from NiP. And now some buybacks. Going to be forced. Black managed to get a silence there just in time. Oh, that was a close one.
Oh, Era actually does a sick amount of damage with that Divine Rapier, and he's got another one queued up with buyback, and so I think this is kind of their all-in play right now, and I don't think Mouz anticipated him being able to do this much damage as the glyph gets popped, and they just start to run away.
Bulba, hook shot is going to be grabbing Era here. Forced out himself away. Era is going to be also Scythe-by Sub Splitter, blocks him in. TC looking to be able to draw some attention for himself. Black also in the middle. Yoda-Safan gets the duel onto Bulba. Winner, chicken dinner. Yoda-Safan looks for some more. But NiP, they're happy with just the one pick off and no buyback on the clockwork. They're going to try and get some control here of the lanes and push in within the next 80 seconds. But I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do it then. The moment they start backing up, the Naga Siren illusions are going to hamper them every step of the way.
Yeah, and the big thing there is that they didn't lose Era right there, and they were able to force Bulba to use his buyback, and he dies on top of that. And maybe this is the sign that NiP are going to that they're going to need to finally push in, but no. Looks like they're just waiting for the reset. They're a little bit too afraid of what will happen if they lose their Rapier.
So what happens here, Blitz? Does NiP go for the buyback on Gyrocopter, Boots of Travel in with the secondary Divine, or do you think this is just basically a backup Divine Rapier that when Mousesports push in, they're forced into the defensive buyback, they have that damage?
I think that Era's just expecting to die, like he's gonna expect to get hooked and then hexed like 3 times and a little bit too much damage to come his way, but then this is the follow-up, right? Like if you can kill 1 or 2 heroes, this is what will end you the game. Like the second Divine Rapier is the finisher, and it looks like he's going for this, gonna continue to push out this top lane, rack up a little bit more gold. I don't know, maybe just buy as many Divines as he can. Okay, yeah, that's the play.
One. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's just got another Sacred Relic on top of that. I don't think he wants to hold all 3 of them at the same time, or even 2. Like, there's no point in it. Right. The other items are too effective. Like, there's no MKB on the side of Mouz, so the Butterfly is always going to pay off. You need the Satanic, even just for the raw HP that it provides you. The BKB is always going to be useful, and you can't drop the MKB. Like, you're the main thing that's dealing with the Naga Illusions, so it makes no sense.
Alright, items coming up. TC is going to be going for that Shivas. Finally! Holy cow, it's been like 40 minutes since we saw TC pick up anything to go with that plate mail. But Shivas is finally the answer.
Yeah, I think that he has to eventually go for something. Like, he has to make some sort of commitment towards an item, and that's going to be the play, but that means no buyback for him. He's got 197 gold, but...
Oh, wow, that's really questionable, especially since he's only got 2 Bloodstone charges. Smoke up, Ninjas of Pyjamas. This could be the play if they manage to get jump in. Trying to go for Pylon Die, misses the opportunity. Glimmer Cape away. TC is now going to be the whatsoever. Everyone from Mousesports is dead. There's no way that Nagasara can 1 versus 5 against all of NiP, and they just go straight for the tier 4s at this point, as illusions are not going to be enough to sear the game. NiP, they made that one smoke play, managed to get the excellent team fight, and will manage to take it 85 minutes into this game. Unbelievably drawn out, incredibly well played by Black, but unfortunately his Naga Siren just couldn't hold the game together.
Yeah, I mean, he had a really admirable effort. He kept the game going for as long as he possibly could, and Mouz, I mean, they just didn't really have a lot of options as they kind of stalled the game out, but 1 or 2 pickoffs just suddenly meant the game for NiP.